Gotcha.
Today is, let's see, 22nd a.m. And, let's see, current establishment form. All board members are present, except for Mr. Cooper, who had an excused absence via email. Do I have a motion to excuse?
Make a motion to excuse Mr. Cooper.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Cooper is excused. If everybody can rise for the invocation and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings you have bestowed on the Green Valley. Please keep blessing us into the future with the right people, the right business, and the right direction that you see fit for Green Valley. Please give the board and the management team the knowledge and wisdom we need to take care of our company and our ratepayers. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so we got a bigger crowd than normal today. We got some public comments. So I'm gonna go down the list. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize in advance. So let me read this statement first. GVHD welcomes public participation. If you're unable to attend the meeting, a writing comment with your name and topic of the agenda item that you wish to address can be emailed or delivered to GVHD's office located at 605 FM 465, Marion, Texas 78124. Attention, Ashland Ford, Public Information Officer, aford@gvhd.org. Written comments must be submitted and received no later than 3 p.m. on August 21st, 2024. Please remember public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Okay, so Craig Russell with SS American Memorial. Morning, sir.
There it is. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you. My name is Craig Russell. I'm the owner of the Lazy U Ranch and president and founder of the SS American Memorial Foundation. I'm past board member of Springs Hill Water and Citizens United for Lake Placid. I'm here today to offer perspective on a potential environmental problems if the development of the Flying Bardee Ranch project moves forward. Our family owns a 101-acre parcel and is home to the SS American Memorial Mental Health and Wellness Park that has served over 25,000 active duty soldiers during our nation's longest war, free of charge and 100% volunteer run, and continues to serve the 700,000 plus returning veterans today as one of the nation's largest hosting respite locations within the military. This property adjoins the entire length of the west fence line for 1,000 feet of the proposed Flying Bardee development of 1,000 to 1,100 homes. The development property has one of the highest elevations in the area with a runoff elevation drop of 150 foot plus, draining into Dead Man's Creek tributary that leads into the Guadalupe River. While not opposed to development, I am opposed to unplanned development. I have spoken to the developers regarding the large footprint, advising of a smaller 5-acre, potentially higher valued home. And they basically told me the numbers don't work. So gentlemen, it's all about the money. Due to the very location of our 54-year-old ranch that has over 1,000 feet of water frontage on the Guadalupe River and the Dead Man's Creek, I've spent 30 years managing a location through 5 floods and land management regarding high volume watershed causing large volume land erosion. Areas that offer deep concern today within TCEQ that I work with on a daily professional level regarding storm water runoff. Areas that are now catching the attention of GBRA, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and a host of national environmental organizations regarding watershed problems caused by large development. This is serious business within the community that I work in on a professional level. As a Springs Hill board member, our focus was always on the immediate CCN due to the growing limited supply of water. The very reason Springs Hill has denied water to the Flying Bardee development at the onset, and the reason that the city of Seguin has denied it as well. The footprint's too big. The piece of property offers an entire host of potential catastrophic areas regarding negative environmental impact caused by impervious concrete and asphalt coverage from high-volume storm watershed, to include hydrocarbon pollution picked up by rainwater channeled into the Guadalupe River, affecting the dangerous species and recreational use. The point of exact runoff ends at our fence line on Dead Man's Creek that would exacerbate flood levels during high-intensity storms. This is not a speculation. This is a fact. I have dug out of every flood since 1998. Flooding that now is channeled via Dead Man's Creek would now be channeled directly across the 50-foot wide creek into a neighborhood, not to mention increased levels that would reach into the SS American Memorial Lodge and the SS American Memorial, the only private living war memorial built for the wounded during our nation's longest war. I realize the Flying Bar D developers are offering considerable investment dollars towards Green Valley infrastructure. I ask that each of you consider the long-term effects of a decision wrapped around dollars and to consider the bigger impact on our community. Long after these developers are gone, the community, you and me, will still be here to dig out from the poor planning of persons not considering the large picture within an environment that is going dry from overpopulation and large development that is only in it for the almighty dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, our community existence evolves around one thing and one thing only today, and it is water, the business you're in. Like you, have watched this resource dwindle to record levels. I work closely in it. I watched our fields be covered, unplanned development causing ever-growing catastrophic flooding when it rains. Greens Valley holds the key to the Flying Bar D at this level. The county's not for it, the city of Seguin's not for it, but they're limited like everything is. I ask you to give careful thought before you just look at the dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, I have Clark Weldon. Good morning, sir.
My name is Clark Weldon. I'm here representing CULP, which is Citizens United for Lake Placid. It's the Property Owners Association for people living on Lake Placid, and our mission is basically to preserve Lake Placid and to forward the interests of the lake community. We first heard about the Flying Bar D from Craig, who is one of our former directors, and originally, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the development called for putting in a boat ramp. And they would have to dredge from Dead Man's Creek into the lake, and it would provide boat access for 1,400 homes, which is what they now have planned. Originally, it was 1,000. Obviously, we were concerned about that because the lake is already overcrowded. There's a boat ramp under I-10, and on weekends, it's crazy. So we were concerned about that. That was our initial concern. Fortunately, it's our understanding that the Corps of Engineers has denied the permit, and they've withdrawn that aspect of it. Our greatest concern right now is, and Craig touched on it, is runoff. All of you who have lived around here for a long time obviously understand the flooding situation on the Guadalupe can be pretty severe if you go back to 98, 2002, and some of the other. We're talking about a very high density development. These are very small lots, and you've got lots of impermeable surfaces. You've got lots of pavement, you've got roofing material, and when you put all of these houses close together, and where this runoff will go into Dead Man's Creek, it's going to be an issue. I mean, it's just a matter of when we have our next flood. It's an issue for erosion. It's an issue for water quality. This is our primary concern on Lake Placid. As such, we've been in contact with the county. We've been working with the city. We have an attorney now, and our goal right now is to oppose their wastewater permit. And we've been out talking to citizens. And what we're finding out is that, the county has shown their opposition. We attended a meeting and the commissioners came out very solidly against it. They denied the variance request. They wanted 5-foot clearances between the houses, which is, these are just going to be packed in there. I mean, 1,400 homes. That would be the biggest development in Guadalupe County to date. And the city, likewise, the city is negotiating with them, but the city is demanding, certain requirements that they don't want to meet. So the city has come out. We've been to their city council meetings. They're opposed. The county's opposed. People we've talked to who are neighbors who live in the area are also opposed. So it's hard to find anybody who really likes this idea. It's going to be a problem for traffic congestion. It's a problem for the county fire control when you have houses that close together. You're taking up wildlife habitat, ranch land. This is going on, as you know, all over the place. And I'm not against development. I lived in the Woodlands for 30 years, planned development, and it was very well planned. And what we see here is that it's not well planned. You guys are in a unique position. The county and the city don't have much control. The TCEQ basically controls everything. So there's not a lot of local input. You guys are local and you hold one of the keys to this development, either going forward or being modified or being denied. And I'm hoping we would like to see you guys do the right thing for the community, because we feel that it's just a bad thing. It's not well done, but thank you.
Thank you for those comments.
Mr. Chair, is it permissible, and this may be a legal question, to ask a question of this individual?
Not right now. It's just public comment, so we
Right.
can't have dialogue right now. But thank you again for your comments and participation being here. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Last call, going once. All right, moving on. Okay, we're gonna go to consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine, non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There'll be no discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered and action taken as necessary as part of the order of business. So that is D1 through 5.
I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda items D1 through 5 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by, I'll say, Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay. All right, moving to item E, hear updates on the following items from GVHD general manager, staff, and committee chairs and take action as necessary. E1, employee recognition, Mr. Gage.
Good morning, Board of Directors, and good morning, members of the public that are here, and thank you two gentlemen for coming this morning. This is my absolutely favorite part of our board meetings every month, right? Where I get to recognize a couple of our great employees this month for things that they have done. I'll talk a little bit about them. I'll have them stand up, if you will. Go ahead and stand up, guys. Over here on the end, I've got Jack Droughty, and then I've got Chris Lombard, and right here is Amber, Chris Lombard's lovely wife, and thank you for attending, Amber, and coming to this. So these two guys, 3 weeks into, my job here at Green Valley, we had our a TCEQ CCI, Comprehensive Compliance Investigation. And during that, I was thinking my first day on the job, that we're getting this inspection or investigation so quickly after I got here. I pulled the team together, and these two gentlemen right here knew exactly what to do. We haven't had one of these, and it's been about, 3 to 5 years, I guess, since our last one was. So we haven't done it in a while. A lot has transpired at Green Valley since the last inspection. Mainly, we moved buildings, meaning a bunch of our files have been moved all over the new building, and it was an opportunity for us to really dig through that stuff. But Bo, Jack, and Chris, they worked with the inspector from TCEQ very closely. Had several emails back and forth over the course of a couple of weeks, but the result is what matters, right? So we remain a superior water system because of the efforts of these two guys. There was only one finding in the inspection report that had to do with backflow prevention, which all of us, to include our ratepayers, have a piece of maintaining compliance with. And one observation just for our future use, but no violations. And that was the key. And these two gentlemen did it. And I just have a small token for them just to say thank you. Anyway, so board, please, yes, sir.
I just gonna say thank you, guys. I know y'all work hard even before the inspection. It just gave you an opportunity to shine and, demonstrate we can find all the required data to be in compliance. And, I understand how much work that is to gather all that data. So I know you guys worked hard in that moment and before. So, just a quick thank you. I appreciate Phil has brought this recognition phase to us. I speak for myself and the board. We love to see y'all here. We love to see different staff members here and to highlight when we're doing a great job. So thank you guys, and thank you, Phil, for this.
Thanks, sir.
Thank y'all.
Okay, guys, y'all can go back to work. Y'all can, you can get
You're
snacks, but, thanks for coming out. I will tell the board too, before I start into my updates, the second agenda item there for me. I do have some more folks to recognize. There was a lot of work done out in the field as well. And I'll bring them in here in the next coming months so we can recognize everyone that had a hand in it. They were just our lead dudes that pulled it together. So I recognized Chris and Jack first. I will go into my update and report if that's okay with the president.
That's good. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, in my memo this month, I want to hit a couple of highlights for you. I hit staffing up there. So right now, our staffing level is currently at 51. We did have one individual depart from the billing department. We do have some open hiring actions, 2 for customer service representatives and 1 for the district engineer. I'll give the board a full laydown on personnel matters when we go into executive session. Kind of sticking with that theme, the second topic that I had on there was an update on our transition to SWBC, Professional Employment Organization. It's going very well. So just this week on the 19th, we did our timekeeping training for our new timekeeping system for the new payroll system, which goes into effect on the 28th of August. And then this Friday, tomorrow, we're closing the district offices between 11:30 and 1 o'clock, and we're walking through the employee handbook just one more time so everyone understands what the guidelines are moving forward with our newly adopted handbook that the board voted in a month ago. So we're in a good spot. So the 28th is when we start the new payroll system. A couple other things looking a little bit further out. Master planning is underway for our wastewater. We have Garver. I see Greg here is undertaking that effort for our wastewater master plan. So that's ongoing, and we've initiated work on that, as the board directed. And then the last topic, we've talked about this, and I haven't brought a proposal to the board yet, but I'm seeking some assistance in strategic planning. And I've started that process this week, reaching out to some organizations to get some proposals on how we can proceed with a strategic plan. And that's something we need, I believe, at Green Valley to help us look out over our skis for about the next 10 years, identify our vision, identify our values, identify the steps we need to take and where we want to take it. So that's what that will be. I will come back to the board with a proposal once I have more information on that. And pending any questions of the board, that's my general manager update for this month.
Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? No?
Okay, I'll move on and I'll quickly present the operations report. It's all in the board packet there for your review. Last month, I believe Mr. Sherman asked for our wastewater daily flow. We do have that up in there prominently at the front page of the operations report. And it's important to note that you can see our daily average flow now is at 0.89, so almost 0.09, rather 0.089. But we're almost at that 0.09 level. So it just goes to show that we are getting the increased flows as predicted moving forward on the wastewater facility there at Santa Clara. The other information is in there. Unless the board members have any questions, One other highlight, though, we do have our work orders in there. And just, I want to highlight for the board the amount of maintenance that our water team is having to do to our distribution system at the moment. There's a number, 50 leaks that we had to service, thus far this month. And it is caused by the dryness a little bit. The ground moves around, the pipes split. And so we're staying plenty busy with leaks. And it's just the maintenance that continually has to be done to the water system. And they're all outlined there for the board. And pending any of the board's questions specifically, yes, ma'am.
I was looking at your leaks.
Yep.
And I know this is like the first time that you've really put this on here.
Yep.
And I noticed that there's one address that has had, is this just for the month of July?
Yes, ma'am. So this is from the last to now. This is up to date, yeah.
So there's one address that pops up 4 times.
Yep.
779 Lynn Road. It's already had 4 repairs done on the main. Is this something maybe that we need to look at replacing? If it has this many repairs, the first one was a 3-inch split on the main. The second one was a 2-inch split on the main.
Yeah.
The third one was a 2-inch split on the main. All of this within 1 month.
Sure. We'll look at it, and let you know. I'll let I can't tell you right now, but I'll have the maintenance team go back, and Gabe's got the note, and we'll figure out, that does occur. If we have a bunch of splits in one spot, then we go in and replace a joint of the pipe. That we do that, but I'll have the team investigate the Lenny Road split. Looks like a 2-inch main, so.
That's a great question. Some of these properties are long, so I'm not sure exactly where on the property it was, the different leaks on the different dates. But to your point, yes, we should be doing that. And those are the things that Phil's bringing into the forefront for us to start really honing in on. And yes, there needs to be a point where maybe on the second leak, maybe we should be turning that into a project internally in-house and replacing the whole segment.
It just seemed like a lot of excessive leaks for 1 month for one address.
I agree. We agree.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Gage, you good?
Good.
All righty. Thank you very much for that. All right, going to the CRWA Board Trustees post-meeting updates. Mr. Sherman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cooper had requested we have a GBRA presentation added to our packet that was presented at the CRWA meeting. This is a presentation that is conceptual by GBRA that would bring a large volume of water up from the coast. It's an enormous, enormous project. It seemed a bit aggressive, in my opinion. On one of the tabs, you can see the estimated cost is in the $5.5 billion range, and GBRA would need multiple parties to commit and join in. I don't know exactly what I think about this, but this was the highlight that Mr. Cooper had, and he wanted this to be included in your board packets. I focused in on the interconnect from Alliance Regional Water Authority to the Lake Dunlap facility. In the construction committee, the date when that would be complete was all of a sudden extended well into 2025. And then that was again repeated at the CRWA meeting. Graham Moore, the executive director of ARWA, was in attendance, and he chimed in and said, "Oh no, it'll be done much sooner than that." Well, based on conflicting information, I requested a site visit with Mr. Moore, and I went and looked at the working face of the project. There was a change of condition associated with the last segment of pipeline E2, just on the other side of Lake Dunlap. The geotech report was done when the lake was empty, so there was no groundwater detected. Now that the lake is full, the groundwater table has changed. So the contractor does have a genuine change of condition. The engineers and the contractor were able to work an adjustment to where I went and looked at the work. They only have about 1,000 feet of pipe left to lay as of Monday. So we should be connected to Lake Dunlap and then be in the testing phase within a month. So that was something I focused in on there. A lot of the rest of the work discussion was tied to the Hayes Caldwell group. We've previously reported that those 4 members that make up the Hayes Caldwell Group, which is a completely separate treatment facility that Green Valley receives water off of at CRWA, they had been working well together. Things were moving forward, and that seems to have derailed somewhat. So there were some extended executive sessions about specific items over there, and it's not as smooth as it had been. So while it doesn't directly affect us, it was still one of the more time-consuming items on that. The other thing that does affect us that I focused on was upgrade of what we call well 14, or the Christian well, which will give us some additional volumes of water that Green Valley would be able to take a third of, as well as the upgrade of well 2, which is just, while we're upgrading well 1, we said, hey, let's upgrade well 2. It's generally low cost, and it would produce some additional volume that Green Valley would have access to. Every time there's a question of who wants that water, I raise my hand and say we'd be interested in it until I hear otherwise from the board. ARWA, CRWA, I'm always saying, hey, we want to hear about it. And I've requested some of that additional well number 2 water. So I know Mr. Averett over at CRWA and Mr. Gage are talking regularly. So I'm sure that's something you're keeping track of. And then if there's any questions on the GBRA presentation, I can try to answer them. It's an enormous project. It would take a decade to complete, and it would be very costly.
Are they looking to have any interest, or I guess receive interest from parties that want to buy in now? Kind of like how we did with ARWA, you buy in on the front end, and then everybody else who comes in later on is going to be more expensive for them to buy in.
That's
on the
correct.
project. So
That's correct. The GBRA had reached out to all the potential participants and had heard a number of about 27 million gallons a day of interest. They scaled that back to 20 million a day and ran their numbers based on that. And I'm not sure which tab this is. It's the one that shows there's a couple different scenarios, but it's generally anywhere from $5.5 to $5.7 billion. And then that breaks down to $55,000 to just under $57,000 per acre foot of cost delivered, which is orders of magnitude more expensive than we're paying now for any of our sources.
Right.
So
we, Mr. Gage, we have a meeting with GBRA coming up with the SWAC committee.
Yes, sir, we do. It's on the 29th of August, I think at 10:30 in the morning. It's already calendar.
Just want to make sure.
So it's something to consider, but it's very, very expensive water.
I would think the demand would have to be so outrageous for us to consider, but we can ask a lot of those questions with our committee's meeting with them.
CRWA is going to continue to interact with GBRA about this, and any further reports, Steve and I will bring back. to
Just
the
a
board.
quick question too, because you were there, you get the feel of the room. What kind of time span are they talking about for this entire project?
A decade, at least.
At least a
Yeah.
decade, 10 to 15 years, and I could see that, yeah.
Alliance from start to finish has been in existence for 20, 25 years through a couple different name changes, but
Yeah.
and this phase E2 that I was discussing, going and looking at the work, that will be our first water delivered after we've been participating for 20 years. So this is a long-term play, and maybe, who knows, maybe those numbers per acre foot, I hope not, but they might become the going rate in the future. So, but any further information on this, Steve was very interested. He made sure that we had this in our packet to review, but any further information on this project, it's called the Water Secure Project. If you ever hear out in the wild people talking about this is what we're talking about. $5.5.
No, he called me the night
Billion.
after the meeting, was like, kind of, calm down, Steve.
Yeah, he was those numbers. He was excited about.
And we're
So,
pushing on our CRWA reps to make sure that we get any and all water information to us so we can make those decisions of involvement. But anything else on that meeting? That's pretty much it. All right, going to Sorry, scroll it back up. CRWA Board of Managers post-meeting updates, Mr. Gage.
Yes, sir. So I didn't provide a memo for this one. The Board of Managers meeting preceded the board meeting, and Mr. Sherman covered most of the topics that were talked about. The Board of Managers mainly focused on, the biggest item they did was look at the budget, which subsequently was passed by the Board of Trustees during the Board of Trustees meeting. And then most of the things that Mr. Sherman talked about were talked about in a little less detail at the Board of Managers meeting. So nothing significant other to report out that was not already included.
Real quick, maybe both y'all could answer this one. The percentage of increase that CRWA officiated, what was that number? Was it
It
4 or
was-
5% or?
No, it was a significant increase. It was 20.8% budget increase, but a significant amount of capital projects and not capital, but heavy maintenance and repair of existing infrastructure was added to the budget that has been omitted in previous years. So we're doing some catch up. But I believe it was just north of 20% in year over year change.
Okay, so
if I
the
get
20% change as to the rates increases, did y'all go over that? I'm sorry if we've already addressed that part, but was there a rate percentage increase as well to balance out that increase in the budget?
But that was not specifically discussed here in my notes. But once the, let's see, 20.04% increase, it was a $745,000, no, I'm
Delta,
sorry, that's
yeah.
$851,000 increase in just labor was one thing I noted specifically because that we're adding more bodies. We were short of operators. We were short of some office staff. Some things that we should have been incrementally increasing in past years, we just didn't. So we're doing a lot of catch up. And a lot of it was captured under this budget year.
You know, and a lot of that is our share of O&M costs. The blended O&M cost is where we feel the increases. So like that $850,000 per se, you know, that's increased just for labor and to hire enough operators to treat the water. We're going to see that in our blended O&M costs passed to us through our 33% ownership of CRWA. So that's just one of them. It's not just the cost of water. It's also the operations and maintenance that is all increased, which those costs are passed to us. Our percentage.
And it's my understanding that that will be, it was not, you know, that blended rate has to be adjusted based on the passage of the CRWA budget. So CRWA staff is now running through calculations, which then will be distributed down
Everybody else.
to the members.
Okay, so then that hasn't been finalized yet?
I have not heard that adjusted.
Because I
rate yet.
think we went off of the premise of the 4 to 5% increase that they were going to roll over as to their, rate increase, which we were preparing for. So our rates were adjusted accordingly, which then our budget would then be adjusted. So if we're still trending correctly, then I think we're okay. I just want to make sure there's no, wild things coming up that we didn't address or catch. All right, thank you. Moving to the ARWA Board of Directors post-meeting update, Mr. Sherman.
Yeah, so the ARWA, the biggest thing I took away was the adjustment in that varying date of delivery for E2 water. That's the most important thing to me in those meetings. It should be soon. It's not as big a delay as we were worried about. The additional extension of pipe at the Lake Dunlap facility, I previously reported there was a issue on how the water would be delivered to Lake Dunlap. That is going to be bid out separately, but there are two connections. There's an emergency connection that is good as designed. They can deliver water there. And speaking with David McMullen, the plant manager for CRWA, he can maneuver our water around. So as soon as that is connected, the E2 segment is tested and ready to go, we can start receiving water. So 2 months, I would bet, as long as testing goes well. And then Chris Betts was a rep for CRWA to ARWA. He left County Line, and Miss Tracy Scheel, who is also one of the CRWA members with county line. She's been appointed to the ARWA board. You and I had
Yeah.
lunch with her in Lockhart on
During
the
the site
tour
visit,
some time
yeah.
ago.
Okay.
That's who is now another member on the ARWA board.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much for that information. All right, going to, let's see here, item E6, Board Directors Committee meeting updates. Construction Committee, Mr. Sherman, you've been busy.
That's me again. The committee met with Mr. Gage and Mr. Cantu at the treatment plant, looked over the options for expansion. We took a tour all the way around the facility, saw a couple things we need to improve with the existing facility on the next phase. The guys gave us an excellent in-depth explanation of growth, cost, how we're moving forward. So it was more of a educational field trip for James, Sherry, and I.
Finance Committee, Ms. McDaniel.
So Gina presented the first draft of the budget to us, but this was prior to us having our special meeting on August the 13th. So the committee decided that it would probably be best to wait because she had it laid out on the 3 proposed rate structures. And so we decided to follow up with another meeting. When I made this memo, it was the first week of September. It's now been narrowed down. The next finance meeting will be September the 5th at 2:00. We'll go over all of the changes that Gina's made, and then we will present it to the rest of the board. Probably, if we agree on it on the 5th, Gina says we'll send it out to the board the day or two after that. So the rest of the board can look it over and have time for the special meeting that will be on September the 17th, at which time, if everybody agrees, we will vote on the budget on September the 17th. If there's changes that the rest of the board feels needs to be made after that, it'll be presented again at the special meeting on September the 26th. Anybody have
And
questions?
the board as a whole will be receiving the draft version for review so that we can study up on it when.
Correct, right after we have our meeting on September the 5th.
Okay.
That's our next finance meeting.
Okay, so then after that one,
After
then
we,
we'll get it. Okay.
Correct.
Just want to make sure I'm tracking. Okay.
we
That's
also
right.
talked about a few things that, some capital items that Mr. Gage is looking at for future projects. And also we talked about the status of the new payroll system.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm tracking that one. All right. Thank you very much. All right, going to item F, GVHD Capital Improvement Project Development Projects Report. Mr. Cantu.
Yes, you'll see the report in front of you. Changed it up a little bit. The first 2 pages is the development and CIP projects together. And you'll see on the very right-hand side, percent complete. If it doesn't have a percentage, then like on the next page, it has design. So the ones that are in percentage complete, that means the plans were approved already by Green Valley and our consultant engineers together from the developer or through the capital project design with our consultant engineer. And they're in some phase of construction. If it's 0%, obviously it hasn't started yet. Anything above that, it's in that phase of construction completion. Everything highlighted in green. I kind of wanted to highlight that for y'all on our reports in totality that we produce to y'all, if it's pertaining to the Santa Clara Creek sewer shed and the wastewater treatment plant. So everything you see highlighted in green, that's a Santa Clara sewer shed project. Okay, so that kind of helps you understand the activity going on directly with the sewer shed. And then at the end of it, you see the total EDUs of water are 6,219, which equals 2,487 acre feet of water. You go to the next page. Basically, I took all the green highlighted and made this Santa Clara sewer shed development and CIP. So I wanted to take that for you to see that together in one spot. And so all those projects equal 2,276.5 EDUs, which equals 0.46 MGD. And the chart below that is kind of like our projections for the number of EDUs being accepted into the Santa Clara Creek wastewater treatment plant. And if you look at that orange line in the bottom, you see the numbers there, 304, 309, 320. Each one is how many units are being added onto the load of the plant. So that's basically 304 to 309 means 5 more homes are feeding into the plant. But you'll notice the graph quickly inclines and exponentially increases because we have a key lift station that's going to be accepted here in a couple of months on the northern leg of our transmission line. And when that lift station gets accepted, it's going to open up 4 developments that are already paved and ready to rock and roll. So you're going to start seeing that number from month to month. You see it goes on that from, I guess that would be from August to September, 309 to 320. That's kind of like that first month when it opens up. And then it just kind of maintains incrementally higher as more units
over
get
and over and over.
accepted
Yeah.
based on our projections. And the key numbers, 20.25, right? The capacity of our current plant, which falls in line with August 2025. I think we have some buffer in there because just because we accept a unit, an EDU into the system, meter plugged in, everything's connected like we've accepted by our staff, that doesn't mean the gates are open and the flows are wide open for a 200 gallons per day equivalency. Usually there's a month or two for people to move in the home and for that to start actually being utilized. So we actually, you can't put that really in that projection, but there's a little bit of buffer in there. I don't think August is the true deadline.
Gabe, on your water, your total EDU, the 6219 with the associated, volume of acre foot of water, I do not see the bar D included in that calculation. So the item that we're going to discuss later is not included in this
Taking
table.
the water, what?
The total EDUs on your table here,
Mhm.
I don't see the bar D that we're going to discuss later included in this tabulation.
The water what again?
The water for the,
Flying bar
Oh,
D.
the flying bar D.
Correct.
So we're going to discuss that later, but you have not included that volume in.
Absolutely,
these?
that's correct.
Okay.
And none of our developments that have not gone to contract are on here. This is strictly, and even some that are in contract are not on here because the plans are not in design yet. They haven't even been provided to us. So for instance, a couple y'all approved within this past 6 months, right? Contracts that have been approved and then executed internally. Sometimes there's a 6 month, sometimes there's a year delay till we get plans to approve. That's based on the developer and their engineer getting coordinated and getting that set up. So if you go on to the next page, we got the graph there showing our growth rate. We're at that 5 to 6% level still. 5.94% this month, and then you got the 2024 project summary highlighted in yellow. We got 100 projects in some form of design, construction, or closeout. So that's kind of a peak that we've observed here in the past few years. We've been hovering in the 90s, so 100 is what it is, right? And then we got our consultant engineers reports from Tri-Hydro and UEG, which kind of dig into the status of some of our projects. And do y'all have any questions?
It's not a question, but just statement. We're still clicking along on the next steps for the treatment plant expansion based on newest direction. We're just continually taking the next steps as long as that's happening.
Yes, sir.
To discuss it.
And we've reported that on our report is a project in design. If you look at the second page, I think it's gonna be
The
somewhere
8
in
out
there.
of 12 for UEGs. Santa Clara waste.
Yeah, it's about 3/4 of the way down. This is Santa Clara WRRF 0.5 MGD plant expansion and the 1.25 plant expansion. But on the Santa Clara one, on the third page, it details like what's going on with it. There's a comments on there's plans under review.
And Mr. Chairman, to answer your question directly too. So matter of fact, today we're going to take the next steps for our Santa Clara moving forward. That's what the resolutions are about on the agenda. So that's why we need to keep moving.
Any other questions or comments?
I had one. Maybe this is a Jason question from Tri-Hydro. He's like, huh? Oh, do we have any updates on the Homestead elevation tank that we had the delay on?
Off. Okay. So we have met with the contractor and discussed it, but, ultimately we need to wait until we have a better idea of when, the MCC will be delivered so we can have a more definite ending of the project.
You
So,
don't have any ETA. Will it be this quarter, this year?
yeah, it will be likely
December.
this year. So, we have dates on when it's supposed to be delivered, but the delivery, the install, we're waiting for that final definite, this is when it's gonna be done before you settle out. This is how many days you're over, things like that.
And Ms. McDaniels, we did, so Jason and I did meet with the CEO of the contractor. We do that this week, right? Monday this week?
I think it was last.
Yeah, it's last week. And we discussed it, right? So I mean, as soon as he gets that equipment in, he knows that we need to get this done and we're applying the appropriate pressure to him. And from that meeting, we decided that, once we get the piece of equipment in, then we'll assess where we are in terms of what our next steps are. Yes, ma'am.
So it's definitely an ongoing issue.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We're good? All right. Thank you. Okay, moving to item G, review bid tabulations, consider Zip Family Sports Park reclaim water line recommendations, and award contract, including authorizing the general manager to execute all necessary documents for the construction of the City of New Braunfels Zip Sports Park reclaimed water line, Tri-Hydro.
Sure. So for this reclaim project, it was just a little background. It was broken into two portions. We have the pipeline that is going to, feed the sports park, and then we have the treatment plant itself. This particular project is for just the pipeline. The treatment plant itself, the storage tank and the treatment system will be following hopefully in the next couple months. But we can use this pipeline also to supply them with potable water if needed. So it's a little background on the project. As the memo says, we received bids on August 14th. We had 12 bidders, and the low bidder was RL Jones with $270,237. And they were responsive. We've worked with RL Jones in the past, and they've done quite a bit of work for Green Valley. And it was our recommendation to award it to RL Jones for $270,237. Do you have any questions?
What was your estimate on cost for this segment?
It was actually much higher.
Okay.
We don't have it on here, and I apologize for that, but it was, I think, somewhere in the 400,000 range.
Because you answered the question I was going to have is, in the memo or in the report from the previous tab, total construction cost is 3.2 million. And then I saw 270 and I said, well, I know that's not, we're not that far off, but that explains the difference there. And then I wanted to verify that this segment was still in the expected budget.
It was actually much lower than we expected. So, I mean, that's good. We never know if when we get the tank and the treatment, portion, that it could be a little bit higher. So this gives us a little bit of buffer.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion that we award the project to RL Jones LP in the amount of $270,237.00.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. All right, thank you for that. Moving on. Item H, consider resolution number 2024-8A 2025-1/A, resolution relating to the establishing the Green Valley Special Utility District's intention to reimburse itself for the prior lawful expenditure of funds relating to constructing various utility system improvements from the proceeds of obligations to be issued by the district for or authorized purposes, authorizing other matters indicated and related to thereto, and providing an effective date. Mr. Gage.
Yes, sir. So this is the first of two resolutions we need to move forward to secure bond funding for the Santa Clara wastewater treatment plant expansion that the board voted on in July. So this is our two steps to get our bonding done so we can get that in and to meet those flows that we need for Santa Clara that you see there for about a year in the future. So it's important to get these two done. So in the board's questions on that.
Shan, everything works out correctly?
Sorry about that. I
Oh,
got
you're good.
distracted. Yeah, this is something that everything looks fine with the resolution, but you've got your bond counsel here, which I'm always going to defer to for specifics.
Yeah, if you could please address the board.
Good morning. My name is Matt Lee with the law firm Norton Rose Fulbright. We serve as district's bond counsel. So this action item is if you anticipate going out and issuing bonds, which that's going to be the funding source for the project on the next resolution that you'll be applying to the TCEQ for. This resolution allows you under federal income tax laws to start spending funds now out of your general fund. And then once the bonds close down the road, I don't know if we have a timeline just yet. We have to wait for TCEQ to approve it. Once we do get the bond proceeds in, you will be able to use those bond proceeds to reimburse the general fund from the expenses that you incurred prior to receiving the bond funds. So the resolution that we're currently discussing right now is the reimbursement resolution. It's a typical action item for this exact scenario. Happy to answer any other questions that you all may have on this resolution or this action item.
So a total figure will be established later, but in the interim, we can pay the engineers out of our general fund, then later borrow the money and put it back.
Do the timelines and due dates of when we're going to be needing our services done and completed. So, thank you for that. No questions for you, but I have questions for the other board members that have been here a little bit longer. In the past, has something like this been done? Shan, can you confirm that too? Okay, so this is nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, so knowing that, right, I just want to make sure, because this is something when it comes to bonds, reimbursing ourselves, I just want to make sure this is like on the up and up, make sure we're all in compliance.
The only question I have, Mr., is just on the market right now, what are you anticipating is any kind of a rate? Ballpark, I know that's ballpark.
I think that would be a question for the financial advisor. I serve as the bond counsel, the attorney, so I can't
Okay.
speak
Yeah,
to those.
Does the compliance to make sure we're
Fair
within the
enough.
regulations.
Thank you.
So, can y'all speak to when we are supposed to, once everything falls in line, when would we be asking for the bond? Gary, can you talk to that?
We've provided the draft bond application to staff and it's under review now. We've worked with Norton Rose Fulbright and your financial advisor in the past. We typically, and we're prepared to do that again, there's a certification for 45-day expedited review for TCEQ. On the previous deal, they replied within about 30 days, so they were well under their 45-day. But they have 45 days once we submit. Obviously, if they have questions or anything like that, that can be extended, but we're requesting the 45-day expedited review. Then that triggers the financial advisor going out to sell the bonds. Talking to Gary Kimball, that's about a 4-month process. Obviously, that comes back to you to secure the debt and all of those things. But the value of the reimbursement resolution is we can move forward and you're able to recoup those funds.
Okay, so if the Fed, and you're saying 4 months, right? So the Fed's supposed to go down next month, 50 to 75 basis points from what's being talked about. And then again in November, another 50 points. So we're almost timing it just right if
Like
everything.
we planned it.
Just like we, yeah, just like we planned. We're watching the Fed very carefully. So, I mean, it's, as long as everything goes to plan, we're going to be at hopefully the lowest possible rate. I mean, in a long time,
To
so.
that effect, what the TCEQ will send back to us is a maximum interest rate that we
Mhm.
can sell debt at
Okay.
and a maximum number. So we don't have to sell that amount. We have a number in the next resolution that includes all the physical, the soft cost and issuance cost and AG cost and everything that's in there. That's the maximum. We can't go over, but we can go under. So if we find a way to save money or something comes in under, we're able to sell less. But once you commit to that resolution to issue the debt, you're locked in, once you close.
Yeah.
So that would be, I'm not sure when that resolution will come to you, but I would say it's probably within the next 90 days, 90
Got
to
it.
120 days. That would
Okay.
lock in the interest rate.
Okay, well, hopefully the feds do what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, so with that information, any last comments, questions? We're good? Do I have a motion?
We need to
Please-
read the
yeah,
entirety of it.
please, unfortunately, read the entirety.
Jerry, you want to, or you want me to? I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-8A_A, resolution relating to establishing the Green Valley Special Utility District intent to reimburse itself for the prior lawful expenditure of funds related to constructing various utility system improvements from the proceeds of obligations to be issued by the district for authorized purposes, authorizing other matters incident and related thereto, and providing an effective date of today's date.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. King. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Mr. Frias, aye. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Resolution passes. Thank you very much for that. We are now moving to second resolution. Consider resolution number 2024-8B, resolution authorizing application to the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality for approval of project and bonds. So I believe we covered most of this in our previous agenda item. Does anybody have any questions relating to this one?
No, this one had a figure in it.
14,365.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. 14,365,000. Thank you. So I just want to identify that that's our maximum
Not to exceed.
borrowed amount, just so everyone notices that and sees that.
That was on the, sorry,
On sheet S.
yeah, it's on the first page at the bottom left, right?
Yeah, page
Second.
1. Yeah.
Second whereas paragraph.
Yeah.
Principal amount will not exceed 14,365 million.
Okay. All right. So in knowing all this, does anybody have any questions or concerns they need to address on this item?
I will make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-8B, resolution authorizing application to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for approval of project and bond, and no effective date on this one? No effective date on this.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. King. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Mr. Frias? Aye. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution passes. Thank you. We're moving to item J, consider non-standard water and wastewater service agreements and take action necessary. All right, we're going to start with item 1, Mosaic Land Development, Hunters Creek Water Non-Standard Service Agreement, north of Wild Road, Guadalupe County. Mr. Cantu, Mr. Gage, who's going to talk about this one?
It's located in a high development area on Wild Road, in between Green Valley Road and Wild Road, just east of the current Grace Valley development and west of the Ann Austin development. So it's 528 EDUs of water, a 211 acre feet. We have plenty of water from CRWA for that. It is in our Plant 1 and Wild Road pressure plane. It's going to be fed more from the Wild Road ground storage tank facilities that we're currently expanding. But between Plant 1 and the Wild Road tanks, that's currently 1.5 million capacity storage. Fire flow demand is being imposed by the Guadalupe County jurisdiction, and we can meet that. And there are no Green Valley costs associated with this one. You have there with the actual meter fees are going to be at the current rates, emphasis on current rates of impact fee and potential acquisition fee adjustments here within the next year. But with the current rates, it's 3.4 million. And of that 3.4 million, just over 1 million will be provided to us at plan submittal. So if they give us, there'll be multiple phases with this development. So there'll probably be 2 or 3 phases. So on each phase, when they submit the plans to us, we invoice them for the acquisition fees upfront for the number of units in that phase.
And the acquisition fee is set at the time the plans are submitted.
That is correct. We do recommend this for approval. Any questions?
I think you addressed everything, at least my concerns. Anybody else?
I think he covered the fire
Highlight.
flow was always my question.
Capacities, everything's already addressed, so. Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the non-standard service agreement for Hunter Creek.
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to item J2.
Yeah, so the next one is the same development, but for wastewater. A little bit less EDUs. The water was 528. This one's 525 because of irrigation services. It is a 0.66 MGD load on the Santa Clara wastewater treatment facility. And there are no Green Valley costs associated with this development. They'll have to plug into the trunk line that will determine specifically in the plan review process that's connected to the Ann Austin development, which is directly adjacent and east to this development. So Ann Austin subdivision has infrastructure there extending out from that trunk line we just finished a year ago. And so they're going to plug into that system, that collection system there that plugs into that trunk line. We do recommend approval. Are there any questions?
So if this development is requiring infrastructure being installed by another development, do we have any exposure if, say, that first development doesn't extend their system over in a timely manner, or do we address that?
We have addressed that, that they are responsible for coordinating those connections that we'll address during plan review. The good thing is it's all the same developer engineer.
Okay.
So Cute Engineering happens to be the engineer that's the developer engineer for every development down that road plugging onto that line. So Cute Engineer, we've had them in this building probably 3 times in the past couple of months doing coordinating of all the various projects. So they definitely understand the coordination effort there.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Nope. All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the non-standard service agreement for wastewater for Hunter Creek.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Robertson, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. All right, moving to item J3. Corridor Advertising LLC, Long Creek Subdivision, Water Non-Standard Service Agreement, Altwin Lane and Damon Lane, I believe that's how you say it. City of
Damon Road.
Damon Road, City of New Braunfels, ETJ.
So this area is near, if you go up 725 where you would go east towards our CRWA plant.
Mhm.
This is on the west side of 725, that direction on Altwine Road, about a mile west of 725. It's 266 EDUs, which is about 106 acre feet of water, all CRWA water, basically coming directly off the plant there. We have a couple of meter stations that feed that pressure plane, which are those two towers, plants 4 and 12, which is 1.5 million gallons of elevated storage we have supplying that pressure plane. So we have plenty of storage there. On the infrastructure impact, the developer will be responsible to extend just over 2,000 feet of 16-inch main to a trunk main we have just west of the development off the Hardy Road meter station, which is a take point off of CRWA's Lake Dunlap. And this is CNB in Guadalupe County. I'm sure CNB will probably be running those fire flow tests over there, making sure everything's adequate, but UEG's already run the hydraulics on that and verified everything's will be adequate with that water main extension. And there are no Green Valley costs. The only costs will be all to the developer to include the offsite and onsite. We do recommend approval for this development. Are there any questions?
I make a motion to approve the non-standard service agreement for Long Creek Crossing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, thank you. Moving to item 4. Oh, God. Saturan Holdings LLC, Sahota Heights Water and Non-Standard Service Agreement, intersection of West Klein Road and Walnut Avenue, City of New Braunfels.
Yes, so this is better known as Sahota Heights. It's basically South Walnut. It's basically Walnut Road extending south, where it currently dead ends on the southern edge at Klein Road in our service area. So they're going to extend Walnut south to Zip Road. This is kind of the first phase of that road extension. And this is a peculiar project in that this is kind of like a turnkey land developer, which is getting a lot more, it's a modern way of development per se for commercial and especially multi-use residential or multi-use residential. So basically the developer wants to have the infrastructure in place for what they're anticipating to be 188 EDUs, mixed commercial residential development. This is all based on a site plan that's just a tentative selling point for them to sell the property once it's once all the utilities are in place. So it's kind of ready to build once they sell it to the prospective builders. We have with their estimates at 75 acre feet of water, all provided by CRWA at that same plant 4 and 12 pressure plane as stated on the previous approved study and contract. All they have to do to extend Walnut south with their property is extend 750 feet of 16-inch water main that we currently already have on Klein Road. They're just teeing off on it and going south 750 feet with it. And there are no Green Valley costs associated with this development. The prospective builders, commercial and residential, that come as a result of this extension will all have to individually apply for water service. So you may see another contract come for your approval again for, say, a residential development off of this water main extension. It'll be a separate contract altogether. Or commercial development, if it's small, will not probably come to you for approval if it's small enough to serve with the existing infrastructure that's there without any improvements.
I did have a question on this one. So we're extending a 16-inch main and then it's going to be a dead end. Typically, we don't approve that. Typically, we make it, looped. So would these subsequent contracts be required to loop the main
Yes,
somehow?
so we've seen the actual master layout that connects to ZIP along with this review and showing Walnut extending all the way to ZIP. And that was actually a conversation during this study with Trihydro and the developer, in that we kind of wanted them to build the whole connector.
Kind of what I would, because what happens if we approve 750 feet and then the rest of it doesn't happen?
So
That'd be a, you know, a
we do have dead ends in the system, I will say, that we put flush valves on at the end for maintenance purposes. But what we can do, if we want it connected in the future, say they only build this unit and it does become a dead end, we'll include it into our master planning to connect to ZIP. But we'd have to get the easements and all that. We'd rather the development, because they only own that property that fronts Klein. Or developing the property that fronts Klein. So we're only gonna allow them to extend the line to serve that, to serve that property.
And I'm not as familiar with this area. How much further would it be to connect to the other roadway?
I want to say it's about 3,000 feet.
Yeah, it's not a real long distance. It might be around, 2,000 to 3,000 feet. But I also wanted to say that, it's going, eventually Walnut's going to come through. And, this is going to be part of that major transmission system. So whether it's built with this, or if this falls through, it's going to need to be built. It provides that backbone for the entire system. So having that 16-inch line wrap around will be a big support for Green Valley.
I'll also include that, that pressure plane. If you imagine Klein being the northern arterial road and then Union Wine being the southern arterial road, it's a giant square with plants 4 and 12 in the middle. And we have a couple of connectors that are in the middle of that square. So if you had a rectangle and then it's subdivided into thirds, we have arterial lines that provide some really good redundancy for looping the water in that area. It's a really good setup right now. And this is going to be a third arterial leg in between and that rectangle that would make it like a grid that's in fourths for redundancy.
That's good to know, because as long as this coincides with a future plan of that area, I don't see a problem with it. All right, any questions? Last call, good? All right, do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion to approve the non-standard water agreement for Satron Holdings LLC, Sahota Heights.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Guys have it. All right, we're gonna take item J5, flying bar D, into executive session later. So we're gonna skip that to go on item K. Hear updates on items below for GVCD General Counsel, take action necessary, pending threat litigation and legal changes affecting the district.
For
Mr.
K, there are a couple items on the threat and litigation
Okay.
issue that we're going to talk about in executive session. There are no legal changes affecting the district.
Thank you for that update. Okay, so at this time, we're gonna go into executive session. Time.
Before we go, Mr. Frias, may I be excused from the last executive session item? I don't have my.
Yeah, concerning item O, we'll have you step out for
Yeah.
that one.
Thank you.
So at this time, which is 10:13, we're gonna go to closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.071 551.074 and or 551.076 to discuss items K, L, M, N, O, and also K2, or sorry, K1, that Mr. Rutherford addressed earlier. So time is, I'll say 10:14.
Take
All right.
5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll take 10 minutes before we go into
Okay,
executive,
thank you.
so. All right, we're good to go. All right, Ashlyn, are we recording? Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, time is 11:48. We're coming back into open session. We have some actions to take real quick. James?
Okay. I move that the GVSUD Board of Directors authorize the General Manager and District Council to take all necessary steps to withdraw GVSUD's pending request for contested case hearing in Cibolo Creek Municipal Authority's pending application for water use permit number 12607 before the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call, starting with Mr. King.
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
I'll abstain from this.
Thank you.
Aye.
Mr. Sherry? Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-1 abstaining. All right, thank you very much. I think that's all the items we need to deal with. Going to item Q, consider proposed items to be included on next month's board meeting agenda. Nothing. If you do have anything, just get with Mr. Gage. Sorry.
Did we want to consider something about, was it Project Bravo? About
Yeah, no, we're,
taking it off the table in a different manner?
yeah, no, I just won't include it in the agenda in the future.
Okay.
Unless it's an emergency
it-
that we gotta bring it back up, so.
Is that legal? Okay.
All right, so with that, we're going to agenda item R, motion to adjourns.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, time is 11:50. Meeting complete. Thank you.